So this morning I'm going to introduce everybody to a modality of meditation that I do pretty much every day as part of my practice. It's loosely based on a 13th century mystic named Abraham Abulafia. He lived in Spain, and he traveled around a lot, and he was a very wacky character. He tried to convert the Pope at one point. He traveled to the Vatican. Coincidentally, the Pope died the next day, so who knows if that had any effect. And he was sort of itinerant. He would wander around and teach, but his mysticism was really like nothing else that had existed before. He taught a mysticism based on the Hebrew letters and the sounds of the Hebrew letters. And he believed something that's sort of also in Vedantic, the Eastern Hindu philosophy, that the world is made of sound, the universe is made of sound, and that there are seed syllables and seed sounds. And if you make the right sounds, you can sort of tap into the basic sounds of the universe. So in particular, he believed that the 5 vowel sounds were sort of the fundamental building blocks of everything. That being O, A, E, and U. And he believed that when you combined those vowels with the consonants, you could not only alter your consciousness, but you could alter the world. And this is the basis for magic, actually, also. The idea that if you learn the right sounds to make, you could create a magic spell. Right? Spell comes from spelling, like spelling bee. And you could tap into the code of reality and alter reality. Abulafia wasn't really a magic person. What he wanted to do was he wanted to use the Hebrew letters and vowels to bring down what he called Ruach HaKodesh, like the Holy Spirit, and connect directly to God, to the divine. And he did this through very sophisticated meditations and combinations of vowels and consonants. We're not doing any of that today. That's the advanced course. Well, there's different versions. What we're going to do today is we're going to work with the 5 basic vowel sounds. And I found this good for me in so many ways. It's good for my body. It makes me feel relaxed. Just the vibrations of the sounds. And also there's head movements that I'll teach you as well. They're also actually very relaxing, and I've discovered they sort of activate the vagus nerve, the way that you move your head. You can look up the vagus nerve, it's a whole thing. It's also good to calm down the mind, and it gives you a point of focus. That's pretty simple. So my practice that I do on my own every day is just to chant the 5 basic vowel sounds with head movements. But what I'd like to do this morning is something I've done with groups in the past, which is to move through the 4 worlds with the 5 vowel sounds and loosely guided mindfulness meditations on each of the 4 worlds. So what we're going to do is we're going to move from mindfulness of the body to mindfulness of the emotions to mindfulness of the thoughts to just being and seeing what arises. So those are the 4 levels that we're going to move through today. And I'll remind you as we move through them so you don't have to remember anything. And in between each one of these worlds, we're going to chant the 5 vowel sounds. Before the first world, we're going to chant it once. Before the second world, we're going to chant it twice. Before the third world, we're going to chant it 3 times. And before the fourth world, we're going to chant it 4 times. And during each world, I'll give you some instructions of what to concentrate on. And we're going to sit in between for 4 minutes, silently. Although the first world is going to be working with your body, so you don't have to be silent when you're working with your body. Whatever sounds you need to make, that's fine. So I'm going to start by teaching everybody how to chant the 5 vowel sounds. And I'm going to use the Shruti box. So first you start with the sound O, and if you look in your packets, it's listed here on page 3 of the piece that has the meditation on presence in it. The Shabbat meditation on presence, page 3 of that little packet. Did everybody find it? So the first vowel sound is O. And what you do is you take a deep breath and you just chant, or make it the right key. O, until your breath runs out. And the movement that you do when you chant O is you move your head up and back down. So just O. That's it. And the O is supposed to, I'll tell you what it's supposed to represent. You don't have to remember any of this. But I'll just tell you that it represents connecting to the infinite and bringing down the energy from the infinite. And so you're sort of looking up, as if the infinite is up. So the first one is O. The second one is Ah. And I'll again tell you what it's supposed to represent. And all the representations are written down here in my packet as well. It represents the angel Michael, the south, because you're supposed to be facing east technically when you're doing this. But it's okay, I don't want to face, you're not all facing east. And it represents your world, the world of your emotions. You don't have to remember any of this while you're doing the meditation. And it's Ah, so you go and you look to the right. Right, so if you're facing the east, looking to the right is the south. And it goes like this. Ah. And then the next one is Eh. and you look to the left, and you're connecting to the angel Gabriel or Gabriel and your intellect, and you go, and then the next one is E, and you're connecting to the angel Raphael, and also to the Shekhinah, and to our physical bodies, and to the west, and you look down and up, and it's E. And the last one is U. And U's the only one. Well, U and E are sort of weird. So E is like that, as I just said. And U, you go forward and back. And it sort of like goes with the way your mouth goes when you say ooh. So you go ooh. And ooh represents the east and the world of the spirit and the rising sun and all those good things. So let's try it once, going through all four, just as practice. And then we'll sit in silence, or basically follow the directions I give you. So what we're going to do is go through these four worlds. The first world will be the world of your body. Second will be the world of your emotion. Third will be the world of your mind. Fourth will be the world of the spirit, however you want to define that. And in the first world, we'll chant the five vowels once, and then we'll work with our bodies. Second, we'll chant the five vowels twice, and then we'll work with our hearts. Then 3 times work with our minds, 4 times work with our spirit. And in between each chanting, we're going to have 4 minutes to do the work. Sure. Yeah, I think we definitely have enough time. Okay, good. So for the first world, I'm going to invite everybody, after we do the chanting, to stretch and work with your bodies and sort of do the freestyle yoga that I said from the other day, where you just feel what you need, what your body needs, be aware of your body, and do whatever stretches your body needs to sort of wake up your body and get out your aches and pains from your night's sleep and your cricks and cracks, and breathe into whatever tension might be in your body, and just be aware. Have some body awareness for 4 minutes. So we'll start with the 4 vowels, and then I'll invite everybody for those 4 minutes to work with their bodies and be mindful of their body. And if you have thoughts that arise, feelings that arise, just be aware of them, and then return to your point of focus, which is your body. Just gently bring yourself back. Say, oh, There I go again. I'm planning for my morning. Oh, there I go. I'm planning for my ride home, worried about my ride home, whatever. Okay, I'm going to go back to my body because my point of focus right now is my body. Just gently, no judgment. Just keep coming back to your body. Minutes.
4 minutes. I invite you to return to your seat. I'm going to move now into the world of the heart, emotions. So we'll chant the 5 vowel sounds twice. And then I'm going to invite everybody to bring their awareness to what they're feeling emotionally right now. So sometimes the best way to do that is to put your hand on your heart. Some people have their emotions, they hold it on their heart. So if that works for you, I invite you to do that. And some people just can be with their emotions and don't need to put their hand on their heart. That's fine. Try not to get caught up in thoughts. If you realize that you're thinking a thought other than feeling an emotion, just gently return yourself to your emotions. And you might want to ask yourself the question, what am I feeling right now? And maybe it'll come out in a word. I'm feeling bored. I'm feeling nothing. I'm feeling tired. Just let the feelings arise and be aware of them as they arise and fall. And if you find yourself planning, you might want to say, oh, I'm supposed to be aware of my emotions. What's the emotion that's behind my planning? Maybe I'm a little stressed out. Maybe I'm a little worried about what the future's going to be. If you're feeling like antsy, when are we going to get out of here? Maybe you're hungry for breakfast. Maybe that's your emotion. I also invite you, you might feel the emotions in other places in your body. Maybe there was a place when you were stretching that was particularly painful. You can breathe into that part of your body and ask it what emotion it's trying to tell you or express, and see if anything arises. And we'll do that for 4 minutes. We'll begin by chanting the 5 vowel sounds twice. Oh minutes, 4 minutes. So if there's any emotions that were arising for you over and over again, you might want to jot them down at some point and just be aware that that's something that's in your consciousness. I know for myself I have a lot of worry, so it's good to be aware of that. Sometimes when you're aware of your emotions, it separates you from them, and you can have a little bit more perspective. So the next world is the world of the mind. This one is a little trickier because you're always thinking. We're always thinking, and our thoughts go and go and go and go. And sometimes it's hard because you think you're the thinker. But the truth is, you're not your thoughts. And the trick is to settle into awareness of your thoughts without being drawn after your thoughts. There's a great teaching from the Tibetan sage Milarepa. This is Milarepa Hall. He said, most people are like a dog that when you throw a stick at the dog runs after the stick. And the thoughts are like a stick. And the person is like, the awareness of the person is like a dog. And so when you throw the stick at the dog runs after the stick. He said, rather you should be like the lion, who, when you throw the stick at the lion doesn't turn towards the stick, it turns toward the thrower of the stick. So what does that mean? Rather than chase around your thoughts, like the dog chasing around the stick with your awareness, turn your awareness towards where the thoughts came from. And it's not always easy to do that. The way that you do that is you're just aware of your thoughts. And again, just like the emotions, you turn them into an object. And there's a very simple way to do this. It's called labeling. So a thought arises. I'm really hungry. And you label it. You say, hungry. 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 And then it'll disappear. And then something else will arise. I'm worried about the drive. Worried. And the emotions and the thoughts can all come up in this world together. Or I wonder when this is going to end. I say, okay, I'm thinking about when this is going to end. Okay. Or, all right, now I'm thinking about thinking. And now I'm thinking about thinking about thinking. And then it could get into like an infinite recursive loop. And then you can just gently like be with that, and then let this stream of thoughts flow on. The other thing I want to mention is you're not doing it wrong if you feel like there's a flood of thoughts coming through. The Buddhist sages say that when you start meditation, it's like standing under a waterfall, and the thoughts are like the water falling down on you. And when you do meditation for like 30 years, it's like a stream, and the thoughts go by, and you can see the thoughts go by in the stream. And when you do meditation for a lifetime, it's like a pond, and the thoughts are like the ripples on the pond. But the thoughts never stop. It's just sort of the intensity of them, and the frequency. So labeling is a good way to be aware of the thoughts. And another way, if you want an easy way to sort of like focus your thoughts, is to choose a point of focus, like the breath or like the sounds in the room. And so when you choose a point of focus, it's like an intentional thought. And then other thoughts will arise. And as they arise, you can just be aware of them and then return yourself to your point of focus. So you've got several choices of how to do it. I'll leave it up to you to do it. You might want to alternate. For some people, 4 minutes is a very long time. So you might want to alternate between the different methods and see what works best for you. So we're going to chant 3 times the vowel sounds, and then we're going to sit for 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes. So you might notice that you had recurring thoughts. Just be aware. Bring your awareness to those recurring thoughts. Again, turning your thoughts into an object brings you closer to your true self, which is the awareness, which is aware of the thoughts. And you're not actually your thoughts. I'll just share one thing that comes up for me when I focus on my thoughts. I've noticed that there are 3 different kinds of thoughts that I have. And they're all sort of intertwined. One kind is intentional thoughts, like thoughts that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna think this, and I just sort of think it because I want to think it, like if I'm like intentionally planning something, or if I am, thinking about, all right, I'm gonna think about this now. So there's sort of an intention to it. Sometimes thoughts just arise randomly, like they just appear and I'm just aware of them. And sometimes there's something in between where like there's thoughts that are arising and there's a part of me that's thinking them, but I'm not aware. And then all of a sudden I become aware that I'm thinking them. So I don't know if that's helpful, but as you explore your mindfulness of thoughts, you'll notice that there's not just one kind of thought. There's all different kinds of thoughts, and the different kinds of thoughts are there's different levels of awareness of the thoughts. So that's the world of thought. So now we're going to move into the world of the spirit. I associate this with creativity, with being in touch with something beyond. If there's sort of higher worlds, being in touch with those higher worlds, other worlds, and also being in touch with our higher self. There's an idea in Judaism that there's a soul, even though the soul is sort of constantly changing and like a flame. And this soul is connected to the great all of the universe. And so each one of us is like a spark of the infinite, a spark of the divine. So when you connect to this part of yourself that's inside of yourself, you're actually connecting to the infinite. You're connecting to God. And it's sort of a great comfort to me to be able to practice being in touch with that aspect, because I realize if I can be in touch with that aspect, then that means that I'll never die, because I'm always connected to that, even if I'm not alive anymore, because that aspect of reality always exists. Right? So I'm just going to return to that infinite. It's a great teaching. Many of you probably have heard it about the ocean and the waves. There's a big wave in the ocean and a little wave, and they're going along, and the big wave says, "I'm really upset," and the little wave says, "Why?" And the big wave says, "Well, I see far on the shore we're all going to crash and we're going to die on the shore." And he says to the little wave, she says to the little wave, "Aren't you upset? Aren't you afraid?" And the little wave says, "Yeah, I can see that also. But the truth is, we're not waves, we're water." Right? And so that's the true about us too, right? We think we're waves. We think we are our self with a little s. But the truth is that we're the self with the big S. Right? The truth is we are water, and our consciousness, our small ego that we are so attached to, is just a wave within that water. And it actually isn't even the same within our lifetime. It's constantly changing the shape and the form of that. So the point of getting in touch with this final world is sort of trying to touch your water nature, if that's even possible. And so the way I like to do it is, again, I like to choose a point of focus, just like I do with all of my other meditations. And it can be your breath. There's a great meditation Roberta did yesterday. Breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out. And as you breathe in, you just think in. As you breathe out, you think out. And then the thoughts, feelings, and sensations arise. And you just gently bring yourself back to the breath. That's one option. You could also think a little mantra in your head as you're breathing in and out. But then I invite you at some point to stop and just be aware of being aware, if you can. And that's the trick, right? Because it's like looking at your own eyeball, right? Because you are your awareness. So if you can just bring your attention to your awareness, that awareness is the water. So the mystics teach you can get in touch with it at any time. Like that God nature, that divine nature, that is your awareness. Beyond the thoughts, beyond the emotions, beyond the sensations, that awareness is your true nature, is your water nature. And this is back to the Milarepa teaching about the stick and the thrower, right? So Milarepa would say you should be like the lion and turn your attention towards the thrower of the stick, meaning the thoughts. The thrower is your awareness, is your consciousness. So try as best as you can to just be aware of your awareness. And it's not like an active thing. It's really sort of just being present in this moment. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to chant 4 times with the vowels. And then we'll sit for another 4 minutes in silence. May our practice this morning bring us happiness and the causes of happiness, and thereby help us to bring happiness and the causes of happiness to all beings. May our practice this morning bring an end to our suffering and the causes of our suffering, and thereby help us to bring an end to the suffering and the causes of suffering of all beings. Thank you for joining me this morning. You've all meditated for about 20 minutes total. You can do this practice any day, any time. You don't have to sit for 4 minutes between each one. You can sit for a minute between each one. And you can do the vowel chanting on its own. If it's very relaxing practice, just the vibrations of the chanting. And you can sit without any specific intention to your meditation after you do the vowel chanting.